What is happening? Cody here with the Sea of Wealth, helping you to ride the financial tides to success. Now, let me ask you a question. Whenever something happens to you in your life, how do you respond to it? Do you respond in a way that is open and allows for interpretations to teach you other things? Or do you react based off of your emotions? Because I've learned that things in our life happens because it is there to teach us a lesson. It's there to serve as a guide to to help move us in the direction that we need to go. Because ultimately we don't have all the answers and we never will. But what we do have is we have an internal guidance system. And that guidance system allows us to to navigate throughout our lives, right? It's like a GPS for this world. And so what often happens is when we are presented with obstacles in our lives, it's easy to respond in a way that yields a negative emotional response. And what I mean by that isn't that you're feeling a negative emotion, it's that you're not open to seeing the possibilities of what that thing can teach you. Let me tell you a story that happened to me recently. So I was working construction with my buddy, and I'd been doing it on and off for a few months. Um, Actually, I still do it a little bit here and there, and so anyway, I'd gotten off work, my full time job, and then I was going to go help my buddy, and we were taking out this brick wall. Had this giant sledgehammer, and I just love demolition. It's one of my favorite things to do. It's just so fun to be able to like release and really, I don't know. There's not a lot of ways to release in our society, so it's good to like have an outlet. And I had this giant sledgehammer. We were trying to take this brick wall out, right? And so my buddy was hitting the brick wall with the sledgehammer, and bricks are slowly coming out, one at a time, sometimes in chunks, and and so I got the sledgehammer and I was giving it a few whacks, and we went back and forth for a while, and then finally I took it and I was hitting the wall, and it was at a bit of an angle. Like I didn't really have, it was kind of on like a little ledge, but like the drop wasn't really that far down. It was just like, I don't know, 4 to 6 feet drop down to the next level. And so I'm hitting the wall, and then all of a sudden, the next thing that I know is there's a giant object crashing into the back of my head and shoulder. So instinctively, I naturally like jumped off the ledge onto the next floor. But what had happened was, as I was hitting the wall, bricks fell probably 2 or 3 feet, came crashing down on my head, and luckily, my body seemed to react in a way that allowed me to not get greatly impacted by the fall. Like it did hurt. It did fucking hurt. Don't get me wrong, but I was able to quickly heal and recover. But after it happened, my shoulder's real sore and hurting, and I'm thinking, shit, like how am I going to go back to work? Or, thank God I didn't have to go to the hospital because there's all this corona stuff going on. I would have never got in the hospital. And so I asked myself as I'm grabbing my shoulder and frustrated because, I don't know if I'm going to be able to work tomorrow, how it's going to impact me in the future. And I'm thinking to myself, like, it's hard for me, it's hard for people to find a job right now. And this could possibly, take me out of being able to work. So what am I going to do? So I'm sitting there holding my shoulder, and I ask myself, why did this happen? Because everything in life happens for a reason. And this is happening to teach me something. But what? What is this teaching me right now? I thought about it, didn't really get an answer because oftentimes it just needs to play out and see what happens. And what ended up happening was the next day I woke up and my immune system apparently had been compromised because of the fall, because of the bricks falling on me. It just weakened my body, weakened my immune system, and I felt like shit. And honestly, my shoulder felt fine, my head felt fine, maybe a little bit of a headache, I think. But what was really impacting me the most was my stomach. My stomach was all jacked up, and I just felt awful. So I went to work the next day, and I worked my full 8 hours. And by the end of the day, because they had stayed over a little bit, I asked if I could go home early because I was just feeling terrible. And I ended up missing work the next day because I felt so bad. And I had wondered to myself, like, people need jobs right now, and I'm blessed enough to have one, and then this happens, and then it knocks me out of the ability to work, but why? And I was kind of frustrated, but there's obviously nothing I could do but just wait it out. And so I wasn't able to come back to work for a whole 2 weeks because there was a bunch of corona stuff going on, and I wasn't able to get tested for anything, so I wasn't able to come back for 2 weeks, and therefore I wasn't able to, you know, work and get that money that I needed to pay my bills. So I thought to myself, okay, what am I going to do here? So I ended up reaching out to my buddy and ended up working some construction on the side for like the first week for a few days. But then he ran out of work, and so I was left trying to figure out what to do with my time. And I had been building an online business. I had been creating an ebook and was building up myself online and just gathering resources and all that. And so what ended up happening was that 2 weeks was some of the best, most productive 2 weeks that I've ever had. Not only that, but it showed me what it was that I needed to do on the next step in my journey. And it showed me life without a full-time job, life without being held down by a job that isn't helping me to really grow my soul. And for those 2 weeks, it just felt so peaceful. I felt I felt amazing. Like, this is what it's like to not have a full-time fucking job. This is what I'm striving for. And then I realized this is why those bricks fell on me, because if I didn't get sick and I didn't have to miss work, I wouldn't have been able to put in the time in my business that I needed. I wouldn't have been able to see what it's like to not have a job. I would have still been trapped by fear of leaving my job and fear of going into the unknown. I would have still just been caught up in a lot of mental blocks that I didn't realize that I had. But that time away from work really gave me the opportunity to just open up and expand my consciousness, expand my mind, and allow me to focus on what is really important. Because that's the key here. We need to focus on what is most important in our lives and make that a priority. Because if we continue to do things that don't serve our soul, if we continue to do things that don't help us grow, then it's it's only going to eat at you. And it's going to cause you to not feel empowered, to not be able to stand in your truth, and to not be able to fully express yourself and the beauty that you are. So I challenge you, next time you have some kind of emotional thing come up, next time you have something happen to you in your life, instead of automatically assuming that this is a bad thing, assume that it's an amazing thing. Assume that you're going to learn so much from this process. And every single time, literally every single time that I have a situation like that, where I say, why is this happening? This shouldn't be happening right now. Because, in my mind, I have all these plans, I have all these ideas, and it's going to interrupt that. And it happens a lot of times, pretty much every time that I get sick, isn't because I think it's because I'm overworked and my body, and my mind is causing me to have to take a different route. So be open to where life is leading you, because ultimately we don't have all the answers. But what we do have is we have the drive to make things happen. We have ideas about where we could go in the future. And ultimately what we have to do, we just have to act on those ideas. Just take action. Just take massive action, because that will show you the next step in your journey. You will find where to go if you take that step. But if you don't, and you continue to do the things that keep you stuck in your comfort zone, you continue to do these bad habits, these things that you've been doing your entire life, and you continue to perpetuate this and tell yourself a story that isn't serving you, then you're going to continue to stay stuck. And you are not going to live the life of your dreams. That's the goal here, ultimately. All of us are here, I believe, to live out our best lives and to find what it means to live a life of purpose. So that's why I'm here sharing this message with you. And yeah, so it was a very empowering experience. And yeah, so next time you have something happen to you, just see what other perspectives it gives you, because I think that's vitally important for all of us. And not only could you learn something that can impact your life, you could learn things that could impact the lives of others as well. So if you like this video, please give it a like, subscribe, share. Um, Feel free to share any experiences that you have had, any changes of perspectives that have helped take your life down a different path. I just I find it very fascinating to hear different perspectives that people share, because we all have different things in our lives that teach us these lessons. We all have different perspectives, and I think it's important that we all open up and learn to share those experiences with other people, because that not only empowers ourselves, but it can empower other people to take action as well. So thank you very much. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.